Now let's move on, and Americans are voting in what could be a pivotal day in the Republican presidential race. 10 US states are voting in what's known as Super Tuesday.
For more, Professor Geoffrey Garrett from the United States Study Centre joins us now from Sydney. Jeff Garrett, good morning.
Good morning, Michael.
This is really a critical day for the Republican frontrunner Mitt Romney. He really has to seal the deal here, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure he can actually seal the deal. You know, it's all about momentum in these primary contests. Romney could get real momentum today, and I think the state we should look for is Ohio. Ohio is the quintessential swing state in the US. You need to win Ohio to win the presidency. Mitt Romney probably needs to win Ohio to essentially make himself inevitable as the Republican nominee. This thing will drag out for a while, but if Romney wins Ohio, he's probably going to end up as the nominee a couple of months down the track.
And by winning Ohio, that shows you can appeal to a lot of the white blue-collar workers who make up great slabs of the electorate there, critical, of course, to anybody winning the White House.
Yeah, Ohio's a state that's got a lot of manufacturing, had a lot of manufacturing, so that the kind of economic populism that Rick Santorum has run on has worked well there. Santorum has also been able to appeal to evangelical Christians. So if Romney can overcome those two things and win there, you know, that'll look really good for him. But he still has the problems that have dogged him the whole way. You know, he's not only in the 1% of Occupy Wall Street, he's probably in the top 1% of the top 1%. He also has problems with health care, the Obama health care reform, Obamacare. There's something called Romney Care in Massachusetts, looks very similar. So Romney is far from a perfect candidate, but if he can win Ohio, he'll probably seal the deal on the Republican side.
And let's not forget Newt Gingrich, who of course was an early favourite for the nomination at the start of this year. He really has to win his home state of Georgia, which is up for grabs today, to remain vaguely relevant in this race, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not very relevant at the moment. He'll probably win his home state of Georgia. You know, the reason that Newt Gingrich is still in the race is because of these things in the US called super PACs. These are individuals who are essentially funding campaigns at multi-million-dollar levels without funding the candidates per se. So Gingrich has got his own individual, a gambling magnate who bankrolls him. He can probably stay in the race, maybe convince that guy to support him when he probably wins Georgia. But I think Newt Gingrich at the moment is in essence only nuisance value in the Republican race.
And let's not forget Ron Paul, who's been nipping at the edges of this race, the Libertarian candidate who has a solid basis of support in different parts of the country. He, of course, is yet to win either a primary or caucus. Could he finally crack one today?
Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I think Ron Paul has probably underperformed a little bit. But what we know about him is that, you know, he's certainly the most entertaining candidate. You know, he's a complete isolationist on foreign policy. He thinks that if Iran wants to get a nuclear weapon, so be it. On domestic politics, he wants to blow up the US Federal Reserve. He thinks it's the essence of evil. You know, he's entertaining, but he's got this core base of maybe 10% of the Republican electorate. Interestingly, it's often young people who find this septuagenarian so interesting, but you know, he just hasn't been able to cut through. He said that for him it's a long game about delegates. He could run as an independent third candidate in November, but people say he won't do that because his son, Rand Paul, has real aspirations in the Republican Party, so Ron Paul has to play nice with that party, I think.
Now, Jeff Garrett, as Republican voters were heading to the polling booths on Super Tuesday, President Obama was asked to send a message to frontrunner Mitt Romney at a White House media conference a short time ago. Let's hear what he said.
Mitt Romney has criticized you on Iran and said hope is not a foreign policy. He also said that you are America's most feckless president since Carter.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to Mr. Romney?
Good luck tonight.
No, really.
Really?
Yeah, so not much there from Barack Obama, but Geoffrey Garrett, the White House, of course, has now for months, if not longer than that, been wargaming strategies against a candidate, Mitt Romney. Can Mitt Romney, if he does, if not seal the deal today, but gathers winning momentum from Super Tuesday, dust himself off and prove to be a strong candidate against Barack Obama in November?
The Republican establishment has always thought that Mitt Romney was the strongest candidate they had, or at least the strongest candidate who would run for office. He has these he has probably three liabilities. He's the 1% of the 1%. He looks like he supported Obama-style healthcare, and he looks a pretty plastic politician. But I think the thing that, Romney always assumed that the US economy would be the reason he'd win. The economy is bad, so Americans should throw out Barack Obama. The economy's doing a little better. That Iran grab is the thing that I'd be looking at. Who knows what happens if the Israelis try to do some kind of preemptive strike against Iran. Barack Obama is clearly trying to make sure that doesn't happen by telling the Israelis and Benjamin Netanyahu that Barack Obama, in fact, is tough on Iran. But the name of the game there for Obama is to make sure, literally, that nothing blows up in the Middle East. Syria, you'd think Syria might affect the presidential election, but Americans seem to have absolutely no interest in intervening in Syria. Mitt Romney hopes that Barack Obama looks like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was brought down in 1980 by a bad economy and real problems in Iran. That's probably the combination Mitt Romney hopes will get him into the White House. I'm not so sure today, though, that Barack Obama is going to turn out like a second Jimmy Carter.
We'll find out soon enough. Geoffrey Garrett, the head of the US Study Centre in Sydney, thank you very much for your insights this morning.
My pleasure, Michael.